Hey guys, in today's video we're going to talk about a recent bit of Fortnite news, and that is that hashtag #RipFortnite was actually trending on Twitter. The reason why this is a piece of news and not just a random Twitter happening is that a lot of content creators, a lot of players, a lot of competitive players, anyone in the Fortnite community was pretty much giving their input on the game at this time because of this trend. And you might think that, oh, this is just people hating on the game. It was actually mainly people venting their frustrations with the game, and most of it seemed to be coming from a good place. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video, what led to this, why I don't actually think Fortnite is dying, and what I think Fortnite should do to actually make the game better in the future. If you do enjoy this video, please do remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more, and comment down below what you want to see Fortnite change in the future. So, like I said, lots of people weighed in on this topic, a lot of pro players, a lot of content creators. I'm going to have some of these tweets on screen, and you'll see that a lot of these people aren't just hating on the game. They aren't just calling it trash, horrible, garbage, whatever. They're talking about legitimate problems they have with the game and things that have prevented them from enjoying Fortnite recently, changes that Epic has deliberately made to the game. Oftentimes, when people lose interest in the game, I think that it's pretty normal for people to dislike the game once they play it so much, look back on the older iterations as being like more ideal. You just got to think, when you started playing season 2, 3, season 1, whenever you started playing, you hadn't been playing Fortnite for a long time. You were new to the game, and likely everyone else was new to the game as well. Whereas today, some of us have been playing Fortnite for almost 3 years. I started playing before seasons were even a thing, as soon as the Battle Royale came out in September of 2017. So I've been playing for 2.5 years almost constantly every day. The only days that I haven't played since I started playing were the days that we had the Black Hole event. And that was like, what, 2 days? So I play the game a lot, and lots of other people are in the same boat as me. It makes sense that they would lose interest in the game over time. The reason why I do not think the game is going to die is because it's free to play, and there's new content updates regularly. Like there's, what, 3 or 4 seasons a year minimum? This chapter has been a little bit different because the first season went on for so long, but regardless of where we are in a given season, we're likely less than 8 weeks away from like getting some large piece of new content or a new season, which keeps people playing the game because they always look forward to that. And then it can also allow older players to return to the game once the new season comes out. Like every time there's a new season, I know people who haven't played the game in months who come back and try it again. And maybe this season isn't their cup of tea, but eventually there will likely be a season that gets them hooked on the game again. Call of Duty has this same, I don't know if it's a problem or just Call of Duty follows a similar pattern. The new Call of Duty comes out, people are excited to play it, they play it for a few weeks, and then they typically hate on it and just praise the older Call of Duties. That's usually what happens with Call of Duty. Some players continue to play the current one, but even those players who quit likely pay $60 in a few months to try the next Call of Duty, and they get caught right back up in the hype train again, and then they repeat and they repeat and they repeat. And this has been going on for years, where people play the game for a few weeks, hate it, quit, say they're never playing Call of Duty again, and then they pay $60 in a few months to try the game again. Fortnite, similar thing. New season comes out, people enjoy it, they think it's really good. After a few weeks of playing it, it gets boring, it gets stale, they don't like it anymore. But with Fortnite, instead of having to pay $60 to try the new season, people can try the new season for free. It's free to play. And I think that's one reason why each season you'll see a larger shift of players coming back into the game, whereas Call of Duty people had to pay $60 to try the new game, and even that franchise has lasted several years. I know Modern Warfare is doing really well now with Warzone, but there was years where Call of Duty wasn't doing as good or nearly as good as it had in the past, and they were still selling a crap ton of copies, and there was still a crap ton of players coming back to pay $60 every year, even if the last 5 titles had disappointed them. So I don't think Fortnite is actually going to die, and I don't think it's actually in any danger of dying. It's certainly less popular than it was in the past, but I think that's to be expected. What I think Fortnite needs to do to improve the game and fix the game and right the course that they've taken is minimum RPG, heavy sniper, minigun, maybe the mythic weapons as well. These power weapons, I feel like, need to take 2 slots in your inventory, and I feel like this would fix a lot of the annoyances that people have with the game. I stream the game every day. I talk to people about the game every day. People spamming these weapons is really irritating for a majority of players, and making them take 2 slots would decrease the prevalence of them and also encourage people to run other things in their loadout. they couldn't stack them as much. Like you couldn't do heavy snipe and minigun. You couldn't do heavy snipe and RPG unless you wanted to give up like basically your entire inventory to do so. So I think this balance would do a lot to improve the game. The next thing I want to see is Siphon and moving zones return to pubs. Siphon can be a hot topic issue, but I don't think it was ever unbalanced. I think it would just makes the game more fun for everyone. Even a bad player. That's the thing. People always said bad players were getting crapped on because of it. Even as you saw when they removed it, bad players continued to get crapped on. And then they had to introduce the mech for those people. And then eventually they had to add skill-based matchmaking to try to protect those people. If they constantly patch the game to help the quote-unquote bad players, you just end up with a game that nobody enjoys. The good players hate on it, and the bad players don't see any motivation to actually improve because everybody just hates on it. And I feel like that's kind of where we are at right now. So bring back Siphon. I think it made the game fun for everybody. And also, another thing about that, the bad player is more likely to take damage in the fight, so they benefit from that HP as well if they do end up getting a kill. Just reduces RNG. It makes the game a lot more fun, in my opinion. Moving zones, another thing. These were taken out in Season 10, I believe, because of the Rift zones. I'm not really sure why they were taken, but they were added in Season 5, pretty early on in the game's life cycle. And then they were taken out in Season 10. And I feel like the shift that has come of that is that late game becomes the least fun part of the game. It becomes the most boring part of the game. It's usually just about waiting. Whereas before with moving zones, I thought late game was the most enjoyable and the most fun part of the game. Irregardless of it also taking more skill, in my opinion, and making it to where the better player wins more often, I think it was just more fun for everybody, and it created less camping in the late game. Whereas now, late game is pretty much just camping until the end, if people choose to play like that. And then the final thing, one of the final things I want to talk about is tweaking or removing skill-based matchmaking. I'm not someone who hates on skill-based matchmaking super hard. I understand why it's there, but I'm also someone who plays the game an absurd amount. I think I'm 70th for wins and like 58th most kills in the world. I should be getting harder lobbies than other people, you know? But it seems like the average players are also unhappy with skill-based matchmaking and hate it as a concept. But for me, it seems like I get harder matches and I understand why. It seems like most of the community dislikes it, so I feel like tweaking it or removing it would likely benefit the game. I think one fix that could be made is, hypothetically, let's just say they rate every player 1 to 10. Make the threes, like the 1 to 3 players, have their own lobbies where they play against bots, and then have everyone else have their own lobbies. Obviously, they don't do it like that, but just have the weaker players somewhat protected so they can learn the game, and then have the rest of the general population be like a mix of varying skill levels. But yeah, like I said, I don't know what to talk about on this topic because I feel like if I bash skill-based matchmaking, it kind of just comes off as biased because I'm like, my channel is pub stomping, you know, so I try not to talk about it too much. And then finally, I think patch notes need to come back. A lot of this overwhelmingly negativity and like toxicity with the Fortnite community, I feel like definitely rose once they removed patch notes and we have no idea what was going on with Epic Games. It just seemed like they didn't care about anything at all. And patch notes, like we still get patches sometimes, but patch notes were something for everybody to look forward to and to read and to build excitement for the game. I've seen people say that they got rid of patch notes because everyone would hate on the updates they did. And maybe that's true, but I feel like the solution to that is stop doing bad updates. If they did a good update, I feel like when they added Siphon, it was overwhelmingly positive. When they added the pump back in like season 9 or 10, I feel like it was overwhelmingly positive when they did so. There was changes they made that people enjoyed. It just so happened that they made a lot of bad changes in the past, especially with season 10 and with the mech, and that's what led to a lot of people hating on the game. So I feel like you can't just remove patch notes because people complained. Like, those complaints had reason, and as you've seen, people continue to complain without them. There's really no difference. People complain regardless when Epic does things that they don't like, because people feel like Fortnite is a game they enjoy, and if they don't complain about it, they're never going to get that game back. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Please try to keep it constructive. Let me know what you thought of the video, what you think of everyone tweeting about Fortnite dying, if you think it's actually going to die or not, if you agree with me that it will always have people coming back into it just because it is free to play and people will eventually be nostalgic about the game and want to try it again. And also let me know what you want to see changed with the game in the future to actually like make it a top game again. I'll see you guys another time. Thanks for watching. Dude, this fight is so weird. I mean, the bosses themselves are really easy. It's just inconvenient. Like when dealing with other stuff to deal with them oftentimes. Nice, that kid's getting grief down there. Of course that kid with the minigun in the RPG is poop. You've only gotten killed by a boss once. I've probably gotten killed by them a lot, but I feel like the reason I die to them is never like, oh my god, this boss is so OP and insane. It's just like, I was dealing with 8 things and then that happened to be the thing that killed me. I saw someone say that maybe it's the henchman causing the lag this season. That'd be funny. There's 3 people. I only see 2. One of them is somewhere and I don't know where he is. Oh, there he is. It's this kid that's been hiding for the longest time. I beamed this kid on height like an hour ago. I didn't even get to get my kill. Let's get some GGs in the chat.